Hello, welcome to Mrs. Pilcher's Bookshelf. I hope you are doing well. I'd like to give a shout out to my friend Naomi and her sister Aubrey in Minnesota. I hope you are having a wonderful day. If you would like me to give a shout out to you, just leave your name in the Facebook comments section. Do you remember the book from last time? It was the book The Rag Coat by Lauren Mills. Wonderful story about a little girl who needed a coat, and the mothers in the community made her a coat. Only the kids didn't think it was a great coat. Let me read you a little bit from this book. That morning I walked to school looking down at all the different colored pieces of cloth in my coat. All the stories that the quilting mothers had told me about the rags and who they belonged to. I knew by heart. I had ended up choosing the most worn pieces for my coat because the best stories went with them. I was still looking down and repeating each story to myself when I bumped into Clyde outside the schoolyard. "Hey, rag coat," he said, and all the others laughed. Before I knew it, Sousie, Lottie, and Clyde were dancing around me singing, "Rag coat, rag coat." Lottie said, "Look, it's even dirty with soot." And she poked her finger into my papa's cloth. Then Sousie said, "Hey, Minna, you are better off with no coat than with that old ragged thing." "Maybe you're right," I yelled. "If I had no coat, then I would never have come to school." I broke through their circle and ran away from them far into the woods. I found an old log and sat on it for a long time, too angry to cry. I just stared across the fields Papa used to gaze at. "Oh, Papa, I wish you were here," I said, and then I couldn't help but cry. I cried for Papa, and I cried for the quilting mothers who had wasted their time. I was crying so hard, I rocked that old log. Then all at once I stopped, because I felt something warm and familiar. The feed bag inside my coat made me feel like Papa's arms were around me again. I could almost hear him say, "Minna, people only need people, and nothing else. Don't you forget that." I jumped off the log, wiped the tears from my cheeks, and brushed the leaves off my coat. "I won't forget it, Papa," I said, and I headed back to school. When I walked into the classroom, Miss Campbell looked up, surprised. "Why, Minna, I was told you ran home sick." Sousie jumped up, her face all red. "That's not true, Miss Campbell," she blurted out. "We lied to you. Minna left because we made fun of her old coat." "I'll tell her, Sousie," I said. "It's not an old coat. It's a new coat." "But it's just a bunch of old rags," said Lottie. "It's not just a bunch of old rags," I said. "My coat is full of stories. Stories about everybody here." They all looked at me real puzzled. "Don't you see? These are all your rags." They still seemed puzzled. So I showed them. "Look, Shane, here's that blanket of yours that your mama's sister gave her the night you were born. The midwife said you wouldn't live but 3 days because you were so small. But your mama wrapped you up in that tight blanket and put you in a little box by the wood stove, and your papa kept the fire all night for 3 weeks. Of course, you lived. All right," I said, looking up at Shane. Shane was big, and you hung on to that blanket for years until it was nothing but shreds. "My blanket," he whispered. "I thought I would never see it again." He looked at his old rag like he wanted to touch it. Then the others began discovering old favorite things and crowded around me. They each wanted their story told, and I remembered every one. I even showed the piece of the woolen jacket Sousie had let her calf wear when it was sick. Lottie's rag was a faded piece from the fancy dress her aunt from New York had sent her for her 7th birthday. And Clyde had a scrap from the pants that he always wore when he went fishing with his grandpa. Sousie said, "Minna, I sure am sorry we ever said anything bad about your coat." "Me too," I heard the others murmur. "I wouldn't blame you if you wouldn't let us touch it," Lottie said. "I wouldn't blame you if you didn't want to be our friend at all," said Clyde. "Friends share," I said, and I let each of them touch their rag. Then I showed them the feed sack inside my coat and told them how it made me feel my papa's arms around me again. Shane put his hand on my shoulder and said, "Minna, I bet you got the warmest coat in the school." "Well, it took a whole lot of people to make it warm," I told him, and we all laughed. And there's Minna. I think she has the best coat in the whole school. So I hope you can find this book at your local library or at an independent bookstore, or of course through Amazon. Great book to add to your collection. Now, this time our book is another story about a coat. Let me read you about this coat a little bit. Again, it takes a lot of people to make this coat. Winter had come and Anna needed a new coat. The fuzzy blue coat that she had worn for so many winters was no longer fuzzy, and it was very small. Last winter, Anna's mama had said, "When the war is over, we will be able to buy things again, and I will get you a nice new coat." But when the war ended, the stores remained empty. There were still no coats. There was hardly any food, and no one had any money. Anna's mother wondered how she would get Anna a new coat. Then she had an idea. "Anna, I have no money," she said, "but I still have your grandfather's gold watch and some other nice things. Maybe we can use them to get what we need for a new coat." And from there on, her mother gets very creative in what she shares to get a new coat for Anna. So I hope you can guess what book it is. Put your guess in the Facebook comments section. And be sure to share our page with your friends and family. We would love to have some more subscribers. I hope you have a great day, and I will talk with you another time.